everybody, and welcome to Music Career Radio. I'm your host, Nani Noam Vazana, and my guest this week is Martyna Markowska, the Artistic Director of Katowice Jazz Art Festival and the Head of Programming in the Institution of Culture Katowice in Poland. Together, we will explore ways for independent musicians to collaborate with presenters, institutions, and festivals while showing how to be a part of their program. All work on this podcast is done voluntarily, and we also collect donations for scholarships for independent musicians. So if you would like to contribute, please visit ydiymusic.com/donate and support us and many musicians that deserve a better education. You could also send a direct PayPal transfer to paypal.me/noamvazana. Hi, Martyna. How are you doing?
Hello, very well. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your invitation. I was following the podcast since all the fantastic guests came up. And I saw some familiar faces, some wise people from all around the world. So I'm very happy to be part of your project.
Thank you so much. I'm happy that you're here and you're a part of this. And I consider you one of the smart people. So thanks for taking part.
Lovely. Lovely. I think that we are all very supportive now, especially now for one another in this online times. So this is very special. This is very important what you do. And I think that being connected and exchanging the thoughts, it's really something that we have to do all the time, everywhere, live or online, definitely.
I think it's a really good opportunity to do it because, normally I don't have time. Normally I'm on tour and now I'm at home for like 4 months already. So I thought, I need to create this spot when we can still connect with each other because you're used to see each other at conferences and events all the time. But now we are disconnected. So I wanted to prevent that disconnection from happening. So that's why I started.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Well, anyway.
Because I think, that in the beginning, we were all quite shocked by the situation. There were two different, I recently wrote a piece about that there were basically two groups of promoters or two groups of people in general. One that were motivated, they wanted to do something and they kept on going. And the other group that really felt numb and a bit lost in the situation and completely being frozen in everything. So you are in the first group. Thank you for that. Yes.
Thank you as well. I saw that you did a lot of adapting on your festival program. For instance, I saw some exhibitions online. And so it was filmed and I could watch it while people were walking through the gallery. And there was like a music synthesis that was going together with the pieces, the visual pieces. So I really liked being a part of that experience, and I encourage any institution or artist that is trying to create a sort of a celebration for the senses and not necessarily focus on one aspect. Maybe you could tell me a little bit more about that. Like how is that for you as a programmer? How do you see that?
Yeah, thank you for asking about it, because this is actually the most important aspect of jazz art. And this is something that makes jazz art different than many other festivals, I would say, or music festivals or jazz festivals, to be precise, because the jazz art name, it indicates that it's not only music. It's art, or thinking about jazz as an art in general, and also its social context, historical context, but also jazz in different aspects of arts and life. So there was always very strong component for the festival, just to have the exhibition, to make street art projects, to make installations in the urban space. So all these things came together. Well, there's also a lot of social work that we do, but maybe I will speak about it later. And the Henning Bolde exhibition was really part of this project. We spoke with Henning already a year ago, and we invited him to be part of the festival. So he was supposed to come live, obviously. And not only we wanted to present his artworks that he previously did, but we also wanted to invite him for something that he does on a regular basis, so to speak, to illustrate and to draw during the festival. Well, we could not do the
Live.
first part. Yes, live shows. So what he does, what he is great in, and this is also so special for him, for us, for other festivals, concerts, artists. So we managed to transfer him once in March to Katowice at the exhibition to showcase, to talk about all the arrangements, and he managed to bring already his artworks to Katowice, at least part. And then
Was
in
that
April he
before
was
the
supposed to come
pandemic?
again for the festival itself. Yes, it was just before the pandemic. It was like a week before. It was really last moment. So that was
Fantastic.
right at the beginning of March. Yeah, well, usually we have this first weekend of March that we warm up for the festival. So we have before Jazz Art series, and Henning came for that. He left on, I think that it was maybe 5th or March, and he brought his works, which are now in the City of Gardens, and we are waiting to expose them. However, we didn't want to wait because we already had his scans, his scan artworks that will be also displayed in the exhibition in the gallery. So we had these materials and we decided to keep on going with that. And then we also invited Łukasz Ojdana, the pianist, who made this fantastic music.
Oh, yeah.
He presented his new album this year, and he was supposed to play at the festival as well with the Kurpian Songs and Meditation, his new album that was released this year. But well, it couldn't happen either. So we just proposed that if we could use the music from the new album for Henning's artworks to make this music and visual combination.
So that's how it happened, because I remember when I was watching it, I was thinking about meditation. I was watching the exhibition, and like it was as if the music was specially composed to walk between the paintings, and it's a special experience. You don't have that in many festivals, that you create like this whole experience. Oh, I'm losing you, Martyna.
Yes, wanted to make interactive exhibition. Oh, I hope that, I hear you. I hope that it's coming back.
Yeah,
well,
you're back
so
now.
we decided to make the interactive experience as well for our listeners if the festival was happening live. We wanted to invite them and to encourage them to do something like Henning, to follow him, to illustrate the concerts, and we actually had that spontaneously a couple of years ago when children were coming to the concerts, very hardcore free jazz, improvised ones. And they were sometimes like scared of the noise. Sometimes they were having something on the side. They were playing in the corner. But some of them, they were drawing. And I remember that I asked one family that, "Hey, how is it going? Like, what are you doing?" Like, yeah, I hear this music. I just wanted to draw. And then I thought that we can maybe encourage on the larger scale, because Henning is a great example. People could add their artworks and to expose them on one of the walls that was predestinated for that. Well, that didn't happen. Fantastic. But Henning did something else. When we did an online concert of Joanna Duda, the pianist, he managed to illustrate this online concert as well. So we managed also to get these new pieces for the festival.
So it was online, and then Henning was drawing at home and posting it?
Yes.
Or
yes.
Like, was it like a share screen situation? Okay.
No, he was doing it during that, and then he presented it afterwards. So that was the concept, and we hope to present his artwork soon in the real gallery space, for the real audience, in the real life. However, that was very interesting, and the scans, the online forms of his artworks were quite many. So we just collected, or Henning collected one part, and then there is also version B that we would like to present with different music background. So also to invite other artists to do something, maybe some different style, maybe to like a bit more dynamic. Well, we will see how about that. We have some plans. So we have this alternative version of Henning artworks online. In case of the second wave, in case of different problems that we might face this year. Yeah. Well, how do you think? Are we going to face it? What do you think, Nani?
I unfortunately think that we are going to face it, but of course I hope not. But it seems to me that the music industry has been hurt so badly with the pandemic. And I'm not talking only about the musicians, I'm talking about promoters, festivals, venues. Like only yesterday, Paradiso. Do you know Paradiso in the Netherlands? It's a pop temple, one of the most famous venues. They announced yesterday that they are going to fire a third of their staff because of the pandemic damages. So if we are already hurting such an established name such as Paradiso, then we are probably in a deeper rut than we actually know, that is happening. Most musicians haven't adapted yet, I think, to the pandemic. And it's difficult to adapt, because, at least I know from my experience. I was supposed to play 88 concerts this year, and out of which 83 are canceled. So I only have 5 left, and they are sporadically booked. So there was just one now in the last weekend in Germany, and there's one in September and one in December, and there were 2 in January. That's it for the whole year. So your income as an artist is, of course, gone. And doing online concerts does not, it doesn't give the same income, doesn't yield the same income as you do live. And then if I think about my responsibility as far as the society, I'm not only responsible for myself and the message that I carry in my art, but also all the people that work with me, right? So you have the stage managers and the tour managers and the booking agents and the sound technicians and the light technicians. I don't see a lot of mention of those people when people talk about artists that have been hurt by the pandemic, but the entire industry have been hurt by the pandemic. And we are, every musician that is successfully performing is probably responsible to 15 to 20 other families that are also earning from that little pot of income we create. So there is something else to look at, I think, especially as far as governments. If we are creating jobs and this industry is not being supported, how does that reflect to the vision of democracy in general, and the welfare state in a way, especially that we live in Europe and we are part of the collective market, etc.
Yeah, this is incredible. Like listening to all of that, this is the news that you told me right now about Paradiso. It's exactly that the news that we were all expecting from different venues, from different festivals, but we didn't really have these confirmations yet. But I think that now it's coming. Indeed, that we'll get the numbers, we'll get some kind of evaluation of finances and what damage it made the whole pandemic. So yes, and indeed, like thinking what you explained now, it's also very important. I had a very nice but also very meaningful conversation today with Agus from Warta Jazz from Indonesia, and we also talked about other people. Because indeed the technical crew and all the infrastructure stuff that is involved in the music production is very important. And then there is also in the total background the whole set of people who are very scarcely mentioned. I spoke with Petra Cvelbar from Ljubljana, the music photographer. She said that she's also feeling quite like abandoned in this whole situation. Then all the graphic designers who are doing marking posters, and then it's like really something like this is like huge amount of people, as you say, involved in all the production. So and all the promotion, and then audience obviously. This is really something that we try to keep on this level, and also by the festival. We try to maintain this situation.
Did you manage to keep all your workers?
Yes, in the institution we keep. We are a public institution, so we also found another alternatives for that. However, our technical staff. They were like mainly endangered. However, the city promised that there will be no cuts, there will be no losses at least this year. So we'll see. I think that now all the municipalities, the city halls, they're evaluating, also counting the loss, and we'll see how it's going to be in the future.
It's amazing news. I'm very happy for you that everybody still have their jobs intact. It's not. I can't say it's the case here. It's or in other countries, what I've seen so far. We all know that in the music industry, it's been always challenging for women, right? If it is discouraging them from composing or performing. And also I could say for myself that when I chose the trombone as an instrument, even my family and my teachers were encouraging me to choose a more girly instrument, such as a clarinet or a flute or something. And nowadays we are kind of on track to solve some of the problems, but it seems that we have new challenges that keep on popping up. How do you address gender balance in your programming?
Yeah, well, we are officially involved because of the key change, the key change initiative. So we
Vanessa.
maintain it officially. Yeah, well, it was very important since we
Good.
took over. Yeah, yeah. Since we took over in 2015, actually, when the director changed, and we also had some changes here in the institution. Well, it was obvious that we as music promoters and me as a woman, but the whole team, it's either women on the team or very sensitive and very aware feminists, like for some of my colleagues, and that they are also for girl power or for women in the business. So we have the support from our colleagues, also male colleagues, and this is very important. So of course it was like, first it was important for us, just for us as a festival, but then since key change showed up, it was established by Vanessa Reed, so that was very important for us to join. And unfortunately, we're still the only Polish festival that's in the initiative.
Really?
We joined, a couple of years ago, and unfortunately, we're still the only ones. Although I think that
wow.
the association made a tremendous job also here in Poland to present the initiative, and I think that for many of the festival, especially world and jazz music, it's not so difficult, that you can still try to maintain, and it's not about like really like 50-50 the number of musicians on stage, but the leaders and representation. Yeah. And while our festival is not big, so for 12 or 13 concerts, it is doable. There's really enough of female artists to be presented. But on the other hand, when I think like this, or when I hear the discussions in Poland about it, no, first quality and then the gender, I think that it's completely also diminishing the female artists, because this is like, why? Well, but come on. Yeah. So first the quality and then women. So then you already assume that there is quality and then there are women. So this is like so unfair. And then when I hear that, no, we have to think about this first, and then we have to think about gender, it's already assuming something. And this is also like mental, situation, like the mental capacity, the way of thinking that is very wrong for us, for me especially. And then I also think that, now, like you were at great, huge festivals. And if Primavera in Barcelona can do that, I think that any festival can do that, in fact. Because it's not a matter of
I think
number.
so too.
Yeah, indeed. So then there are huge festivals like Canadian Music Week and really big music initiatives, Tallinn Music Week. They are huge. So if they can do that, it means that anyone can do that. so there is.
They
no
have like 200 showcases within 1 week. I think it's fantastic. I was there only once, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So
I think it's like when people. Yeah, when people say quality first, I mean, like, I'm totally up for quality first, and that's what should happen. But if you don't float the subject into discussion, you're basically ignoring a very big part of the population. Because if you visit a music school, for instance, any random music school in Europe, you see that about 50% of the students are female. So it's not like they don't exist in the market. I mean, I was told that there are not a lot of female artists, but it's not really correct. I think the root of the problem is mostly people hiring their friends, to be honest, because especially the jazz world is a very small scene, and people grew up together, or that they have been going to conferences for 25 years together. And then many times, actually, like more than 10 times every year, I get a question from a festival director, and then they would ask me, what is the top 5 bands from the Netherlands? What are the top 5 bands from Israel? The markets that I know. And I would give them, my opinion. And then a few months later, I would see in their festival program the exact lineup that I've recommended a couple of months back. And I don't think this is a coincidence. I think a lot of people rely on advice and go for people they know or that colleagues recommended. And because everybody is friends with each other, then the chance that you will know new people is very low. And then people say like, well, I don't have time to look for female artists. It's not about looking for female artists, but more expanding your view to people that you don't know. And I think the diversity, even ethnic diversity, will come if we will open our minds to look beyond our comfort zone. So we won't be addressing only one problem at the time. We will address diversity in general.
Yes, it's exactly all the problems that you mentioned. Everything you said, it's so valid. It's so important, and I think that still we have to struggle with all the opinions. I thought that it's like, wow, now it's 21st century, so I don't have to talk about it anymore. At least about the women. Now we have to quarrel. We have to convene to fight about that. Well, the last issue of Jazz Forum magazine, the jazz magazine in Poland, was fully dedicated to female artists, female promoters, female programmers, bookers, agents, and it was a fantastic step. I contributed as well. I'm very grateful for the editors, both Paweł Brodowski and Osip Czekolan, for doing that. Because this is also something that I see the differences in some places. Obviously, Scandinavia, Nordic countries, much more obvious. And then there are some countries.
Then we have warriors like Suna, fighting for equality.
Yeah. So I think that we both know we both have this experience, like personal experience about that. And then well, I think that our role, and I also wrote in the text this month that if we are regular promoters, regular festival directors, we go and see a lot of concerts live, and we travel. We see a lot of these. We read a lot of reviews. So it's our duty, and I think that if we cannot pick the female artists from this ocean of fantastic artists, so there's something wrong with us. This is like.
It's nice that that you say that openly about ourselves, because I think generally in the world the tendency is to blame someone else. So the humankind is saying, no, it's these people that are making it wrong, but nobody's taking responsibility and saying, no, it's us as a species, as a human being, as a society, as, like you said, a society of programmers or promoters, etc. So it's always the other people who do it wrong, and by saying it's us, you're already creating a lot of awareness with other people, because maybe they will think, oh, maybe it's us. Maybe it's not them. It's not that I'm great and everybody else is shit, It's like, let's think about myself as well. Let's do some self-criticism. It's important.
Yeah, I think that this is, well, maybe it's easier for me to say it because I'm also a female promoter. So then I see, and I'm also focused, and I also want to have female artists, and also it's important for me, and it's important for not only about myself, but my colleagues as well. So they are looking, they are always giving and then journalists in Poland, for instance, they also give hints, and it's like, oh, I just found a fantastic musician from who lives in Berlin. Saying hello to my journalist colleagues who are fantastic, who are picking, who are paying attention, who are reviewing, and then they are passing me also this information, so that because they know that it's important, and they also have focus, and then when I find something interesting, some news, they are passing them. So this is really useful, and then when we have all the community. Like now we had this community of all the female promoters, agents, programmers, bookers. It's really easy to pass this information. And I think that this is the first step maybe to build some kind of stronger solidarity group in Poland. Because Poland is a big country. There are so many jazz festivals, and there are very many great ones, but sometimes we are not well connected. So that's the key to have some kind of initiative, because I think that all the initiatives that were in the past, they were not very successful, because we are so spread. We are spread in the regions, we are spread in within the cities, we are spread, of course, with our programs. So this is like, but maybe that's the biggest issue. Just our individual views and paths and will to create something.
Yeah.
So maybe that's that's the key change. In fact, yes. So we are all
The key
experienced
change
with
work in many ways.
yeah, key change. Yeah, for you as an artist, well, you also have yeah, you just mentioned that, and especially in particular places, particular countries, venues, festivals. Then we have. Do you also notice this change over the last like 10 years, 5 years, that something is moving forward, or it's rather the status quo?
I think it's kind of the status quo at the moment, but I think we're working to change it. But you were mentioning the journalism in Poland, and I think it's a valid point because when I do an interview as an artist, I give a lot of interviews. Well, I don't know, maybe once a month or something. I get the opportunity to give an interview, and when I do it here in the Netherlands or in Germany or in Israel. I have the feeling that they want to make it really short. So they want to make the article 1 page maximum, and they want to include a lot of sensational facts. So like to pull the attention of the audience, like a clickbait online. If you put like this crazy post on Facebook, that everybody's going to click on it. And when I'm doing an interview in Poland or in the Czech Republic, I don't know if that's related, but at least these two countries are, in my opinion, kind of related as far as journalism. They want to do 5 pages. They want to do depth articles. They want to meet 3 times to really go over the facts, and they send me the text and for review in advance, and we work together on making an English translation. I feel that the journalism and generally and the art of the written word is very important in Poland. But it's my feeling from the outside. But what do you think? What is your opinion?
Yeah, this is very interesting, because I read a few other magazines from the States, mainly jazz magazines, and then well, there are large articles, there are different things, and then of course online content that's different than printed content. But indeed, I think that the audience first the audience, like the focus of the audience, and also focus of media, professional journalists, it is very deep in Poland, at least I can say. I can't really compare well, but on the other hand, like mentioning the Czech Republic, I think that they have very good coverage. That like even Full Moon magazine, I wish we had this kind of magazine in Poland that covers different genres, alternative music, electronic. It's all like high quality music, different genres, and we don't have such a equivalent of Full Moon magazine in Poland. So yeah, these are the countries with good musical heritage, as Hungary. And, yeah, Central Europe. I think that still, I think that we as Poland, we still have a lot to do for that, to push forward. We used to have fantastic music magazine, Gazeta Magnetofonowa. But now I think that it's suspended, it's a bit dormant, and I wish it was going on forever, the magazine. So yeah, just to have this kind of great partnership and great coverage with fantastic articles, and yeah, competent people who are writing about music, who are very thoughtful. So the radio programs that we have in Poland, public radio and different local radios, I think that they are also very very important. Were you interviewed right here in Poland by different journalists?
In Siesta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you have your own experience, and you know how it works. And I think that people miss it now. What is going on in public radio in Poland is not joyful at all. At least with the third program. But luckily we still have a second program, which is professional, which is dedicated to music, like high profile, so called, but it's also improvised music, classical, contemporary. So then it's still, yeah, I'm very grateful for these channels.
Maybe you can put some links in the comments afterwards so people can visit the programs. I'm sure there will be some listeners that will be interested. I would like to explore even myself. We met at the EJN conference in Lisbon. And a year before that, I was going to Katowice for the first time for the WOMEX conference. But we still didn't meet each other before, so we didn't know each other. But I do see your name keeping to pop up in relation to WOMEX, and we also meet in a lot of related events. Like we hosted these panels together for Hangvito, the company that is hosting WOMEX at Budapest this year. And I was wondering how much of a part did you play at WOMEX in Katowice, and how involved are you now in WOMEX in general?
Well, yeah, we as an organization, Katowice City of Gardens, were organizing WOMAX. I was one of the team members who were in charge or who were producing. So we had a producer from Warsaw that was in charge for all the really like hard production, and then we took over the part as a city and local hosts for the opening concert, and then for the regional stage. IMIT was also a partner for that, for the regional, for Polish partners at WOMAX, so Institute of Music and Dance in Poland, in Warsaw. And then we were the locals who were basically our mayor, who gave us the green light, and we could proceed with that. So my tasks were opening concerts and the regional stage. And that was it. But of course, the production of WOMAX is tremendous. It's huge, and now I think that
I just
became it's giant. I think that since then I just became like an advocate. Of course, I'm a big favor for like WOMAX, and well, this is one fully. I remember that we spoke about it in Budapest this year. It was also one of the last trips that we had, right? Like that after that, I didn't really travel much after Budapest.
I only went to Lisbon one time after that.
Yeah, not much afterwards. But well, we spoke about it that WOMAX is the only event that is like fully global, that it fully represents the whole world, and it has this agenda, it has this aim. So why it derives it when you compare WOMAX with other initiatives, with local, regional, national level. WOMAX is really fully established and fully representing the whole world, and that's why I'm always trying to take part, especially in the conference part. Now, because I'm not representing artists, well, I'm a booker, so obviously for me, the live it's the most important, and contact with live people, with real people and live music, it's crucial. For the other side, or on the other hand, the conference is very important. It became more important the last couple of years for me than previously. So I'm happy about that. And now, well, when we organized, it was all about organization. That it was all about preparing. The thing was all about the music itself and just to getting by, because already getting by at WOMAX, it's a big task. Just to get used to the space and
just breathing
people and to learn. Exactly. Just looking around, it's already a challenge at WOMAX. But and now I think that it's also shifted a bit, and like this talking, like being thoughtful about things, especially green solutions for the festivals, for music industry, and again, female artists, female promoters, and all the gender balance is very important, and also social activities. I think that this is something that interests us as a team in Katowice City of Gardens at Jazz Art, and this is something that also many promoters who are very concentrated on artistic part are just a bit pushed aside. You know, it's exactly the same conversation that we had about women. It's first quality and then women, and then it's first quality and then social work. As it couldn't
it's very true.
go along. You know that, and we say that no, it goes along. and there are fantastic artists who are doing brilliant creative composing work or performing work, and then they do also something else. So it doesn't have to be it's just an artist for children that is doing nothing valuable in the real art or in the real music. So no, it doesn't have to be like that. So we also try to prove that that no, it's again some kind of contrast that it's not fair. That's why it's important also to talk about that and for us.
Yeah, I think it also has the same answer, because people are used to something. So if with programming they're used to booking their friends or advices that they get from colleagues, even when they think about ecology, for instance, so they think, no, first I have to get fast from one place to the other, and then I'm going to think about taking the train. Or, first I'm going to take care of myself financially, and then I'm going to think socioeconomically what I can do in my neighborhood. So somehow it seems to me that evolutionally, we were not really adapted to be in groups. And actually the biggest struggle even is group versus group, because we kind of learned that in order to survive, we need to sacrifice some of the freedoms that we have in order to be a part of a group. So if we are together, we survive better. But two groups together, then you have racism, then it's already a different problem. Yeah. It will take a few more,
exactly.
I don't know what, millions of years for us to evolve.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just thinking about a colleague of mine, Mateusz. I just wanted to say to Mateusz, who just made fantastic application for grant that it's also based about social work in music for women and for girls. So please keep your fingers crossed that it's successful. We'll have results on 15th of September or after 15th, thank you, of September. And during this research, when we prepared the application, we faced so many different problems, but the positive ones that we improvised music. Well, we made the video recently that is still a bit that is going to be revealed soon, about improvised music, and there were so many hours of talks about social content of improvised music, and now especially about Black Lives Matter and how it's involved, and historically, socially, how important it is, how valid. So all these things are coming together. The more you talk, the more you learn. The more you learn, the less you know, and this is always kind of combination. Yeah, so then you want to see more. We have so much material now for this video, and then we started talking with Mateusz, who was writing this application for activities involving girls and women, and surprisingly or interestingly, we did this application for jazz art with not much music content, to be honest, because
is it more visual?
that now, well, mostly social work. It was some visual projects, illustrations based upon jazz, and Jazz is a Girl, the whole series of illustrations that were prepared by Natalia Łukomska, who is based in Macedonia. So she made it last year for Jazz Art. Now her illustrations in Jazz Forum. There was very nice collaboration as well, and we want to proceed with that. We want to make workshops for girls, but also talk about music, talk about this jazz, also giving this music examples. But we managed to do it somehow without putting up the shows, because we don't know if we do that in October. So we can do something online, but then we also don't have, like, not all of the participants have access for that. They're disabled children. So for them, it's also, we have to think about that. Well, we do a lot of work for 5 years with inmates in the prison, and we cannot offer them online concerts. So this is also that there are these groups that we take it as for granted, that like live online shows, but there are groups which will not benefit from that, they are excluded from that. So we also think about those groups who cannot really like normally talk at this moment as we do now.
Yeah, it's true. Well, maybe in prison it's easier to keep the distance because everybody is in their own cell. So you could do a concert in the foyer or something like that. So like making the limitation into an advantage. Many times it creates amazing art. Yeah.
Yeah. We are lucky because the person who is in charge for cultural activities in the local jail is a poet and musician himself. It's a great friend of mine, Wojtek. So he has the sensibility for the cultural activities. So he invited a lot of artists, musicians to conduct the workshops who also perform for the inmates. And there are several different things, there are, well, every year we organize concert that belongs to Desert program also in the jail. And we bring a lot of guests also there, media and people, and this is always such an emotional experience for everyone. And we did it for years, and it's here the same emotion and the same like very high spirit. For me, like the 2 years ago when we had wild birds and drums, Marian Valentin, that was
Could you
really
say that again?
something
Sorry.
else. And I think that, excuse me.
A few years ago you had I didn't hear, sorry.
Yeah, now
Oh, I lost you.
I'm losing the sound.
You were saying a few
Yeah,
years ago we had and then I stopped hearing you.
yeah. A couple of years ago, we had wild birds and peace drums, the duo from Sweden, and that was very touching. That was very touching experience. But each year it's different. I remember our first concert in the prison within Jazz Art was with Abraxas, John Zorn artist. That
Oh,
was
wow.
really hardcore, and it was really well received. And it was also for female inmates, so it was very special. Super loud, super intense, and this is how also a very great friendship started actually with the artists, because we could offer them also something else. And usually artists have a very small extra fee for the jail concert, or they do it completely voluntarily. So this is also something that is special in this sense.
It makes me think about the band Equilibrium from Norway. I don't know if you know them. Like the experience that you just mentioned.
Yeah, yeah. This is yeah.
Maybe
This is a
maybe that's something. Sorry.
yeah. These are really special environments for that. So yeah, we had Abraxas is the first band. Then we had Papanoche from France. That it's so experienced in many different social activities. This band is also very special. We wanted to make a special project with them this year in the jail, but well, it didn't work obviously. So we're looking forward to host it in some other time after the second wave, perhaps. And
Uh-oh.
yeah, we had Carolina Reds, Regina last year
Yeah.
for the show, her solo performance. So we had also Self Hunter, also very hardcore female band from Denmark that were presented. So yeah, I think that we offer very great program as it happens, not only because of jazz art, but the curator responsible for cultural activities in the jail, above mentioned Wojtek, he is always presenting. So it's not only about us, it's not only jazz art. We have just one slot per year, but he is doing much more work on that. That's just us. There is contest for jail poetry named after Jean
Yeah.
Genet, who I don't know if you knew that he was also for some time he spent his some months in a Katowice prison.
He
So
was
this
in
is also
jail?
for like a detail his biography.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's why. So Katowice can have really alternative route for artistic underground life, and
I
that's
like
also
that.
quite interesting.
I was playing in this place in Katowice called Old Timers Garage. And it was like, oh my God, it's such a cool place, you know? They have these old timer cars in mint condition, like they just now came out of the factory. And the audience can sit in the cars while watching the show. And I took some really cool photos. with myself in a red Corvette with a red dress, and it was a lot
Yes,
of
it's
fun.
such a special venue.
Yeah.
It's so special venue, and we love that. We also presented years ago. I just one concert that I would like to mention there. It's Tomasz Dąbrowski, a fantastic trumpeter who is from Poland, but he is based in Denmark. And I remember that it was also very different repertoire. And you yourself, you are also a very different artist. I think that like so unique, you know, for many different people, and especially there, it's like not in the city center. It's a very unique ambience also for the venue. And I remember that even entering there, like also like well, how you are telling your impressions now, Thomas, when he saw his garderobe and everything that was going on, and he was like, "Wow, well, that place." And yeah, this is very nice, and also collaborating with the venue, it's always great. So, well, we haven't been there
Yeah.
for some time, yeah, also because of different circumstances, especially this year. But definitely, it's one of the most incredible places in the region. So I'm
So we
happy
should
that
go
you're
together.
there. Yeah,
They gave
now
me a
I'm losing a
license
bit
plate, it's a souvenir. I was wondering, for your work as a programmer, of course, you work with a lot of artists and also booking agents. When you receive a request from an independent artist, how do you relate to the request? Does it matter to you that they don't have representation? And what is actually your preference? Do you prefer to work with artists directly or with agents?
Well, it's both. It's always great to work with artists directly. And they really can arrange everything as they really want. You know, that you don't have this middleman who is doing something. But on the other hand, I sometimes see that you know, our Polish bureaucracy is quite tough, and it demands a lot of
Yeah,
papers and a lot of this and a lot of that and certificates
yeah,
and this and now it's so
I know.
so sometimes other you know think like do it with the agent, because then I don't feel
Mhm.
guilty that I'm really taking time of the artist, because agents, this is their profession, they know that they know the rules and they can operate
Mm.
smoothly. But for artists who have never heard about a certificate of tax residence, and the millions of artists have never heard about that because they don't have to for many
Yeah,
countries, but for Poland they do. So then I
yeah,
really feel sorry, and I really prefer to deal it with agents who just have this certificate in somewhere behind them, and they just have it in their hand. And it's like, yeah, no problem. I'm going to send it right away. Like there are
yeah.
several different Dutch agencies that I really like working with,
Mm.
like Daniela Osterop. She is always like so smooth, you know, and so professional that she knows all these
Nice.
things. And if I had to talk to her artist, you know, for every single certificate from the Netherlands or elsewhere, Sweden, Norway,
Yeah,
US, I think that it's such a drag for everyone. So you know,
yeah.
it's nice to work with the artist right away. But from my experience, from Polish experience of administration, I would rather give it this burden to us as promoters and to book an agent who is professional in that. And instead of
Mm.
for artists like yourself, who is busy with performing, writing this, you know, and then also networking, I would feel really bad always if I have to each time ask you about these papers and please could you sign the GDPR, you know, could you do something else? And there are like
Yeah,
10,000 different papers to sign. So in this way, and also sometimes artists they don't have time. They are on the tour. They're at the airport. You know, they don't have access to their offices. So yes, on one hand, it's always better regarding the artistic aspect, but on the other hand, I think that all the paperwork should be done by someone. To be honest.
yeah. I mean, I wish I
So
had somebody
yeah.
who do everything for me. Unfortunately, it's not reality. But well, in some countries, I have some people who take care of my tours. But most countries, especially when I travel in Europe, I organize everything myself. And what you mentioned about tax certificate, so other countries have that too, like Morocco or India or Italy even. So, and Italy even, you have to produce an extra form, which is an insane form, to prove that you have a social security number. It's not even having a health insurance. It's just a social security number, which you don't need when you live in any other country in Europe. So you have to, especially for Italy, arrange for the A1 form. So probably all musicians know the notorious A1 form. So basically, I say you prefer to work with professional people. Yeah, of course, me too. It's if you know your work, if you know your job, then it's easy to work with you. I think one of the biggest struggles for independent musicians is, sorry?
Yeah,
Could you say that again?
that you mentioned the notorious A1 form, and then I also thought what I heard from the booking agents that Poland has a very complex bureaucracy, but at least if you know the rules, you follow the rules, and that's okay. But there are some countries where I don't have this experience because I don't see that from the other side. That there are some countries which don't really have these clear rules, and what what we're just saying, that then constantly there's something popping up, and for me, a promoter, I don't really see that. But for you as an artist, I think that you have a lot of overview, and like what you said, from India towards through Israel, Italy, and then other places in the world. So, and everything is different.
Yeah.
We, at least, we have this burden, but it's always the same. So.
Yeah, at least you have rules. In Israel, forget about it. You make an application and then you wait 3 months for it to be approved, and then they write back, sorry, it was the wrong form. You also need this and that. Okay. It's not easy.
Crazy.
Yeah, it could be frustrating, especially for people coming from abroad.
So do you have some special Zen classes or meditation that you have and yoga just to cope with all the administration of the whole?
I keep telling myself, keep calm and DIY. Keep calm and DIY. I mean, you can't really do it in any other way. And a lot of times when you trust someone else to do it for you, 98% of the time they do it wrong. So it's better that I do my own taxes or whatever that is, because at least I have myself to blame if I make a mistake, Then it's a serious subject. I will not mess with certificates and taxes, handing out. Of course, I have an accountant, but I don't know if I would like to have an agent call the tax agency and ask for me something, and they forget about it, and a week later it turns up that you don't have it, So you don't want to get arrested in Morocco. So
yeah, I understand. So yeah, big applause, for you that you can handle that. You manage for years already, and you didn't give up. You didn't say, "Oh no, I need really some full-time manager who will just do." And you are the good example. You are giving this example. You are talking in public. You are presenting that how it is possible. Because I think that many artists, they just give up from the start, or they are so discouraged. But if you really show this persistence, and you are yourself the great example, living example, living and walking, and singing and playing the trombone and other instruments. So then you give you are a role model that can be followed. And that's why we also thought that, especially in Poland, with this kind of blasé mood, and a bit of pessimistic, negative approach sometimes. So then it's just great to have this kind of kick, and the energy from elsewhere to show that, it's what we said about festivals. If Primavera can do that, if Nani can do that, so you should also maintain, you should try at least. So Nani, thanks. Thanks.
Thank you so much for saying it and appreciating it. I really appreciate it. It's not easy to do, but I really like what I do. Music for me is everything. So I know that if I don't do all these things, I won't be able to perform and connecting with the audience is a huge reward for me. So I strive to do that. And I also have this course that helps musicians find a roadmap into the music industry. I did it, voluntarily. I decided to do it about a year ago, and I recorded 17 episodes of, at least in my opinion, the roadblocks, all the things you need to know. For instance, one of the subjects in the course is how to build an EPK on a budget, electronic press kit. And I think it's also one of the biggest struggles that musicians have. And you as a programmer, for sure, see it a lot. So you get a lot of applications, and I was wondering if you can point out any references for musicians, if there are like common mistakes that people make within their applications, and what is your advice for independent musicians, how to improve their press kits on their own?
Yeah, some advice and some implications for that. Well, this is like so individual. I remember that we spoke about it in Budapest, that every promoter, every single who is in charge or who is organizing, it has really his own path, and sometimes it takes really years to find out this path. But to be ready or able to do that, the artists have to be like, they have to talk to them, they have to show up, they have to be active, they have to be in a direct relationship with this person. So it's some takes years, but we're doing that constantly. So you don't give up, and this is something that works in the end. But well, just by sending emails, and already emails are changing, right? We also know that how it should not be made, and what are the good emails and what are the bad emails, what are the good even like headlines, right, for the letters. That dear promoter is not necessarily the
Dear
best
Sarah,
part.
madam.
Yeah, and then that or question like when is your festival happening, or tell me something about it. It's also not the part. So so we have all these different indications that you know by heart that what should not be done or must not be done. But I think that still these mistakes are being repeated, through all over the years. And sometimes artists, they are telling me that, oh, now again some preparation for fair trades or festival. We know all that, But I said, yeah, but it has to be done every year, because if you know that, maybe some other band doesn't. Maybe there is some fresh band, right, that is in need for this kind of guidance. Or maybe they just repeat the same mistakes all over the years. It's necessary to just to talk about that, and well, there's a problem to say thank you for many people. So this very simple things, and I don't know how much it depends on character or some kind of personal attitude, but how much it really depends on that people don't know how to behave, or what are the rules. That now we were both now at in jazz online, and there was this very great.
I didn't attend Injazz this time because I was driving to Germany for my only gig that survived the pandemic, so I missed it.
Yeah.
You tell me about it though.
Yeah, this great presentation how to behave online, and it was already about approaching the promoters that or approaching any human being, that this is human being. In fact, it's not only like robot or machine who will give you something, but just to even show a bit of empathy in the beginning of the conversation. It's very worthwhile, but that's still very difficult to maintain. The ingest was a great success. I think that I attended several different panels, and then all the concerts in the evening side. So it was very useful also to hear this constructive panels, like really practical ones, about giving the good hints and how to behave. So that was, but indeed, like even on the level, when I just talk about the level of communicating via email, and this is already the good topic for like 1 hour chat or one presentation, and then there's all the rest. how to behave on stage, how not to behave afterwards, how to follow up, how to cover your, how to design your cover for the album, how to make the session, a photographic session. That this
Oh, yeah.
constant problem. There are great artists who have no like a good press materials. So yeah, this is like the whole
Yeah.
ocean of issues.
Yeah. So it's not just one issue, it's a lot of issues. I totally agree with you, by the way. This is why also I did this course, so to enable people to learn a little bit about the industry. But I think it's a combination of a few things, you know. The first, I think, and foremost, is that people don't like sharing information because there's like this illusion of competition within the music industry. And I really, really, really discourage that because I think that together we're stronger. Look at us now talking about this. If we wouldn't do that, if we wouldn't make the first step, talking to each other, nothing will happen. We will not collaborate ever, and there's no chance in the universe that we will ever make any project together because we don't communicate. And then you also have the fact that musicians are very young, especially when they start to break into the industry. So a lot of musicians are either just out of high school or just out of conservatorium. So they're like 20 years old, sometimes 18 years old, and they come to a conference, and it's the first time that they're trying to network, and it's difficult. It's difficult to learn the skill and and being representative on yourself. And then the third aspect is hearing a lot of no, because you send a lot of applications at the beginning, you have a lot of enthusiasm, and you approach people and you say, hey, this is me, hey, this is me, hey, this is me. And then most people either don't reply or that they just say no. Maybe you'll get, for every 200 emails that you send, you will get like 4 emails that say maybe, and the negativity, feedback that you get on a daily basis also makes you a little bit bitter. So combining all these 3 aspects together creates people that are socially disturbed. You know what I mean? Mentally speaking, musicians are a group that is prone to a lot of, social awareness deficiencies. Let's call it this way, because of these aspects. So I think it's a matter of experience, maybe, and just being a good human being, thinking about the other side. If it's a promoter and they didn't reply to you, don't write back an email saying, why didn't you reply? Because you would not talk like that to your friend. Think about it as your friend. Think about this person as your friend. And, well, the worst case scenario, you'll have a friend. You know what I mean? You won't get a gig, maybe, but
Yes,
at least you have a nice person to talk to. Yeah.
yes, it is that
I'd like to remind you. Sorry? We have a little delay, so we sometimes overlap.
yeah. Now it's no, there was some turbulence again. Maybe because there is like grass clipper behind my house that is really noisy and it's really maybe taking the whole air space for that. So that's why it is like some kind of cut. But yeah, all the issues you addressed, they are super important. And this example, how to proceed with the career, it's yeah, definitely something that well, you've been teaching, you've been exposing for years, and it's still I think that you will have a customer for the next decades, right? Who will be learning from you. And what I can add to that, well, yeah, this is what you were saying about the quota, the numbers of emails, 200 versus 4. This is
Yeah.
really something true, very true. And this is we experience
Yeah.
indeed that we receive several hundreds email per month, but then well, maybe one per half year, per quarter, that is like something very personal, that oh, we saw your program and you had I don't know, the thing in 2016, and well, we
Yeah.
covered them, we supported them in somewhere, and it was so great. And Mats Gustafsson is our good or whatever, we saw it twice. That happens. but this is like that happens twice, maybe 3 times a year for all the plethora of different communication systems. So
Yeah.
yeah, or then when I see an email that starts with we see that Jeff is combining different art forms. That you also featured some film, some movie parts years ago. I'm already so shocked.
Yes.
I'm so surprised, and it's such a positive experience that, of course, there would be like a answer right away. That wow, you made an effort. How did you learn about that? Why?
Yeah.
And then artists are yeah, because I really love cinema and I really wanted to do something with that. And I have this project that is based upon, or then if there is any email like that, 3 times a year or something. So this is already something, and this person I can
Yeah.
assure that will answer right away, very positive. There will be also big research on the activity of the artist. So and
Yeah.
that might be successful because I remember like getting the letter years ago, just a regular letter with beautiful envelope from Brussels Jazz Orchestra, which said that well,
Uh-huh.
we have this cinema project uh, upon they have different projects. Brussels Jazz Orchestra is fantastic, and they are very active in very many different projects. So then there was this one based upon the comic book about Louis Armstrong and about jazz. And we made
Nice.
more. We took another step for that. We invited Brussels Jazz Orchestra with this project, but also we invited the illustrator from Brussels, no, sorry, from Antwerp, Philippe Paquet, who made this illustration. And we also exposed them in the gallery of Katowice City of Gardens.
Great.
And that was year 2016. So then we also brought Philip to Wrocław. When Wrocław was the European Capital City of Culture, we also exposed his works there because they were
Yeah.
still in the town, so they could travel. And that was all these things, because then when you know that you reach this proper target, you can even expect there will be still more. And it was fantastic just
Yeah.
to even take pictures of this exhibition with Philip next to these illustrations and the real musicians who are there on these illustrations standing next to the picture. So I remember that as a fantastic experience. And then we decided, well, it's also nice because we have the facilities. Somebody also can say that, yeah, you have huge building, you all collaborate with your colleagues who are in charge of theater, visual arts,
Yeah.
film festival and stuff. But it's not about that
Yeah.
because we also work with other institutions who are not in our building and they are not Katowice City of Gardens label. So we used to work with Silesian Museum, with the Academy of Fine Arts. It's just a matter of wanting to have this partnership, of communicating with other people, and we collaborate with National Symphony Orchestra Hall. That is also
Mm.
very generous, very thoughtful, and a very good partner for this kind of activities. So but it's matter of wanting and opening, and this is also a matter for the artist being open and like researching what is the festival or promoter or the
Yeah.
venue, and then just really focusing on something or finding the way through someone else is also the
Yeah.
good method, I think.
Yeah. But the joint friend. I think it's really nice what you said
Yeah.
about the broad spectrum of collaboration that you do, because it really shows that if it's you against the world, you're going to stay small. But if you create collaborations, there is opportunities for both the partners to grow, and maybe sometimes you will find yourself doing something you haven't expected, but in another scope. And I like that the combination that you do with all the different disciplines of the art. I think it's really special with that music is an art form that happens within a time frame. So if you go to a concert, then the experience that you will have in the concert is unique. It's not like, for instance, if you look at a sculpture and you see the sculpture when it's finished, you don't see the process of the work of the sculpture. And one of the best experiences that I had in my career is that I was a part of the Billhauer Symposium. It's like the sculpture symposium in Germany, and they chose sculptures from all over the world to make artworks within 10 days in the village of Bad Salzhausen, and I was the only musician that was chosen to accompany the creation of the artworks. So I was going between the artists, and inspired by their work, I was making new songs. And for me, it felt that this is the only time I got to experience sculpting from the same aspect, like I'm experiencing music, because it's happening within a time frame. I think that's also what's very special about your festival, that you're making this process accessible for the audience, and they are a part of the creation rather than just being the spectators. And this communal feeling is very important, both for the artists and the audience.
Yes, this is like arranging the space and making this platform. Well, now during the EJN webinars, there was one very interesting. I think that the most that panel about the future of programming, and it was hosted by Tina Heine. She was moderating
Oh yeah,
the panel.
I saw it.
Tina from New
I love Tina. She's
Yeah,
so cool.
yeah, so that was very, very interesting from different perspectives, and from the American perspective, Central European, from perspective of the venues, of the media, and of the festivals, obviously. And then Dina said something very meaningful for me, that we are really the tools to create the space. That promoters are really, we have to be the tools. We have to like know our place, and instead of like, building something well and use really like all the connections, all the opportunities, all the financial resources to build this kind of space. So I think that now I know that Tina is very innovative and is really struggling now about building some kind of alternatives for this pandemic situation. But really, artists are always in the first place, modifying their way of thinking, being able to be really open and flexible. You know, this is something that strikes me always in case of this kind of promotion, like Tina or Nadine, who participated from Jazz Fest Berlin. So yeah, these are really this kind of promoters that are always very open, very keen on finding the new ways, and we all try to follow the path. And well, because for many of us, it's just like what we talked recently. Also, I had this very nice chat, setting up a concert, release, and that's all. So this is like as a venue or as a promoter, you can go this path, and sometimes you cannot do much more if the circumstances don't allow. But I think that this is also our responsibility to find these other ways. And well, also for me, it's maybe easier with my education. This is my background, visual arts and literature. So my PhD was about that, about combination of arts, visual and literature. So for me, it's something natural. I think that we all, even that we listen a lot of music or we are musicians, we still read books, we still go to the movies or to the theaters, we enjoy sculptures, as you mentioned, or we have some friends who are hairdressers, even. My hairdresser, my friend for very many years, Bartek, he's such a person, and he, like real Renaissance artist. So everybody has something to add. Everybody has something to contribute. The cooks are great. They could make some jazz menu. We had actually some cakes years ago, like from Nola's, and so everybody can do something. But yeah, it's just a matter of being open and to will do something extra beyond this comfort zone, beyond the circle that we have. So yeah, either we want it or not. That's a matter of course psychological capacity. I think.
That's probably the biggest factor. The psychological capacity of us as humans is probably creating our path. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
indeed.
I would like to.
So well,
Sorry.
Yeah, now I think it's slowing down. Yeah, there's really something with connection from my side here. yeah, it's, Poland is in turbulent times, so maybe it affects also the Wi-Fi or the like infamous 5G. I don't know what it is with technology.
Don't worry about it. It's good to have you here.
Yeah, thank you very much for invitation.
Sure.
And keep your fingers crossed for our second presidential round, everyone who is with us, because yeah, we will need this good presence.
Don't get me started about mine. So just before we go to the last part, I'd like to do a little shout out to our audience here, because we have like really nice people. Los Aurora, Icarus van Duppen, Johan Carlos, Krzysztof Kubanski. Hey Krzysztof, how are you doing? Suna Gunlux, Rosa Galbani, Talia Ilan, Jan Delgado, Paul I'm not sure how to say your name. McLintyre? I'm not sure. I hope well, if it's a Celtic name, please write me the meaning, because I really like Celtic names. And Loredana Franza, very nice to see you here. If you guys have any questions to Martyna, please write them in the comments below, and we will answer them after the last part of the interview, which is actually my favorite part. So I'm going to ask you a series of 10 questions, very short questions from the Bernard Pivot questionnaire. And they're not about music, they're just about life and, your personality, I guess, in a way, a little bit more personal questions. And they're very simple. If you could please reply with the first thing that you think of when you hear the question, that would be it. There are no limitations. You can say whatever you want. All right?
Yeah, now I lost you. So the 10 questions.
Yes, from Bernard Pivot, the French host. And it's a series of 10 questions that are more personal, very short. And if you could please answer with the first thing that comes to mind that when you hear the question. And there are no limitations, so you can answer whatever you want.
I'm really losing you. So I really have like this pieces of the conversation. So maybe we can use chat if there is something.
I'm going to write you in the chat just in case. Let's see here. So Bernard Pivot questionnaire. If you can see the private chat on the right.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it's 10 personal questions. Answer with the first thing that comes to mind. Is that all right?
Yes, I hear everything. Yes, right. I see everything. So that's, yeah. Now perfect. It's safer.
So, what is your favorite word?
Favorite word?
Yes.
I think that the world is one of the words that words world is the word that is quite much, and I think this is very important for me.
Yeah. And what is your least favorite word?
Least favorite?
Yeah, the one you don't like.
Maybe like this is very recent.
Did you say politics? Was it politics?
Oh, no, I lost.
I didn't hear. So did you say politics?
Yeah, the least, perhaps, yeah, now.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah. I think my least favorite word is ego. But yeah, that a lot of politicians have that. What turns you on creatively, emotionally, or spiritually?
Now I'm losing, I'm losing.
I'm going to put it in the chat as well. What turns you on?
Yeah.
Creatively, emotionally, or spiritually?
All right. Nature for sure. Nature is definitely the thing that brings this energy, the creative energy, spiritual energy, and emotional as well.
It's I think it's all connected, no? The nature energies. A lot of there's a lot of religions or spiritual streams that are based on nature, so I think it is probably connected. What turns you off?
Mhm. Politics again. Well, I think that now being in this mode now of very different times and this kind of changing, yeah, being in the changing mode. I think that this is like showing up now quite often.
Yeah. This is my favorite question. What is your favorite curse word? Bad word.
Well, I have like the whole set of Finnish curse words that I really like because well, they sound great. So yeah, I have a few like the curse words I love, and one is the famous Finnish perkele. Perkele is great. Yeah, so
Perkele. What does it mean?
yeah, it's like little like devil. But
Oh,
yeah, that's very nice.
I'm going to interview Mina in 2 weeks, so if I'm going to say perkele to her, she will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Very good. What sound or noise do you love?
Well, improvised sounds. I think that it's something that I really love. Any improvisation from the like yeah, from the human or nature that comes, that it's brilliant. That's it's yeah. I can say that's one of my favorites.
Nice. Composition on the spot. What sound or noise do you hate?
Grass clippers. Yeah, I just had them in the morning, and I can say that it was not very enjoyable. So that it's also very fresh.
Construction work. I like since the corona started, everybody was telling me, "Oh, now you can relax at home because you were traveling now for 200 days before." I was like, "Actually, no, because in front of my house there's a building that is being renovated. So every day at 7 o'clock, I wake up. It's not exactly relaxing." What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Oh, well, I think that I really respect architects, and I think that there is one profession that I really feel I'm always fascinated by architects because they have to be both engineers and artists. So yeah, well, I don't think that I would ever have skills, but this is at least one profession that I always think very high of. So
Nice. What profession would you not like to attempt?
I don't know. There is for sure something.
Politician.
Yeah, I completely no interest and no skills for that. So this is what I think.
At least you're very, how do you say, you repeat your opinions quite frequently. You're consistent. I like that.
Yeah,
And the
well,
last
this is
question, which is
the
actually,
stage.
sorry, could you say that again, please?
Yeah, no, I'm just focusing on the last one. I'm reading carefully, so
Oh, okay. So if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you pass the pearly gates?
oh, that's a good one. That's a very complex one, though. An atheist. So, I don't know if this is some kind of ultimate moment. Well, that's a yeah. This is definitely the most thoughtful. And the most demanding question I would have. Mm. Well, last year we had this very great motto of jazz art that was said or written by Miles Davis, and I think that it was one of the best mottos that we ever had. And the motto was, "You should never be comfortable, man." I think that this is something that I would like to hear in the end,
Yeah.
because you think that well, then you can maybe rest this ultimate moment of your
Yeah.
road, like to heavens. But then maybe just
Yeah.
don't be too lazy, anyways. Even in your like second life,
Yeah.
or the future life. So that was a good motto. I like that.
Keep on challenging yourself
Thank you
and
very
growing
much.
as a
That was
person. And yeah,
I have to say.
Martina, you're such an awesome guest. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for invitation. It was really great, and wow, now we have July. I hope that you also have some rest. No, are you having some vacation this year?
Not really. I was planning to travel in the summer a lot of festivals. Playing, I was supposed to play the Richmond Folk Festival, Montana Folk Festival. So we were planning actually to do a coast to coast afterwards with. After between the two festivals, because there's like a month in between, and we thought we're going to drive, but it's not going to happen. So because you can't fly now, we can drive finally since last week. So they removed the borders checks within the EU. So now you can drive, and I already drove to Germany last weekend. I would like to do that more. So I will look for opportunities to have a vacation somewhere close by. Or if you are in Amsterdam, let me know, and we can get like really good apple pie.
Yeah, it's like now we are really stuck in that one. I already managed to transfer from one place to another, so I think that this is another for another month. Just one place to be, but we'll see what autumn brings, what the winter brings. But then definitely will maybe the world will change for better. Let's hope.
Yeah, I hope to return to Silesia very soon. Yeah. So thank you so much for being with me today. And just going to say a quick goodbye here to our listeners. So thank you very much for joining us today. As you know, Why DIY Music offers a scholarship for independent musicians, and now is the time to apply. So if you want to register, go to whydiymusic.com/scholarship and submit the application form. All donations for this podcast will be used for these scholarships to facilitate them and help young musicians get a proper education. So if you want to support us, please go to whydiymusic.com/donate to make your contribution. Join me next week, Thursday, July 9th, as I'll be interviewing Yossi Fine, is an international bass sensation, one of my favorite bass players, and is also the artistic director of Red Sea Jazz Festival in Israel. In the meantime, good luck, keep calm, and DIY.